Welcome back to next episode. I'm Maya, and episode 2 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms has just dropped, and quietly, almost deceptively, this might be one of the most important episodes of the season so far. Because on the surface, this episode looks small. No dragons. No massive battles. No political explosions. But underneath? It's a deep character study about what actually makes a knight, and what happens when the world keeps calling you a fool. This episode isn't just bridging the growing bond between Dunk and Egg. It's about Sir Duncan the Tall learning that a sword and shield don't make you a knight, and realizing that the man who raised him may have been the truest knight of all. So let's break down A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms episode 2, explain the ending, the themes, the hidden character moments, and talk about why this episode matters far more than it initially appears. Warning, spoiler warning from here on out. The episode opens with Dunk remembering Sir Arlen of Pennytree, and this scene does two things at once. First, it tells us exactly who Arlen was, a veteran of countless wars, a man with no enemies, no bitterness, no ego, someone who never complained even when charity cost him personally. Second, it explains why Dunk is the way he is. The warmth of the music, the tenderness in the memory, it all reinforces that Dunk wasn't raised by a legendary knight in shining armor. He was raised by a good man. And that matters, because in Westeros, goodness doesn't guarantee remembrance. We soon learn that Dunk isn't just reminiscing, he's trying to get House Tyrell to remember Arlen, hoping someone will vouch for him. Instead, he's met with confusion. Despite fighting alongside them, Arlen's name means nothing. That moment hurts, and it plants the emotional seed that blooms in the final scene. Because Dunk begins to fear that if Arlen wasn't remembered, then maybe he was just a fool pretending to be a knight. That fear follows Dunk throughout the episode. At Ashford Meadow, Dunk watches the jousting with visible anxiety. Knights are being thrown from horses, and his mind flashes back to burying Arlen. The idea that a man can give his entire life to honor and vanish without legacy terrifies him. This fear becomes the emotional spine of the episode. Another major theme here is Dunk's connection to horses and how deeply that separates him from nobility. Dunk understands animals in a way he doesn't understand people. He treats his horses with care, refuses to sell them unless absolutely necessary, and even when he does, he makes sure they'll be fed properly. When a Targaryen horse panics and kicks its handler, Dunk steps in and the horse calms instantly. Not because Dunk is powerful, because he's gentle. Contrast that with Prince Aerion, who demands his horse be taken from him without a second thought. There's no bond there, just ownership. Horses don't care that Dunk is big and stupid. They respond to how he feels. And that matters, because Dunk has spent his entire life being told he's a fool and believing it. Egg mirrors that insecurity in quieter ways. When the Targaryens arrive, Egg grows visibly anxious. He wants off Dunk's shoulders. He looks afraid. Earlier, Egg talked about being puny and wondered if he'd ever be strong enough to wield power. Just like Dunk believes he's stupid, Egg believes he's weak. And without spoiling future revelations, that belief couldn't be more tragic. There are subtle hints everywhere that Egg's identity is more complicated than he lets on, especially when Mar Targaryen discusses a missing son and past failures. Egg isn't just hiding physically. He's hiding emotionally. The episode also plays heavily with the idea of a fool versus a knight. During Tensel's puppet show, we hear about Florian the Fool, a legendary figure said to be both a fool and a great knight. Scholars debate whether he even existed. But that's the point. Florian represents the idea that the line between fool and knight is thin, and that one does not cancel out the other. Dunk embodies that perfectly. We see it hilariously when he tries to speak to Tansel and completely falls apart. He's awkward, stuttering, painfully sincere, while Egg stands there dying of second-hand embarrassment. But we also see it when Dunk stands up for himself, for Arlen's memory, and for what he believes is right. One of the most revealing moments comes when Egg says to Dunk, "Why do you treat these royal lapdogs as your betters?" That line matters. Because Egg doesn't see Dunk as stupid. He sees his heart and values that more than titles. And when Bor Targaryen finally remembers Sir Arlen, confirming his stories were true, Dunk's belief is validated. Arlen wasn't a fool. He was a knight. That recognition allows Dunk to enter the tourney, but more importantly, it gives him something deeper. Purpose. The episode ends by bringing everything full circle. Around the fire, Dunk finally says it out loud. He raised me to be an honorable man, and I am his legacy. That's the moment Dunk stops chasing knighthood for himself and starts chasing it for Arlen. Not to be remembered, but to make someone else remembered. So, what did I think of the episode? I thought it was quietly beautiful. It feels like a fable, lighter than Game of Thrones, more intimate than House of the Dragon, but still deeply meaningful. It's funny, tender, inspiring, and emotionally grounded. Peter Claffey and Dexter Soul Ansel have incredible chemistry. They feel like brothers. Like history repeating itself. And after just 2 episodes, I'm genuinely invested. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Dunk is more fool or more knight right now? Did the Sir Arlen storyline hit you emotionally? And what did you notice about Egg when the Targaryens arrived? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe to next episode, and turn on notifications, because next week, the tourney begins and everything changes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.